All right. Yes, please introduce yourself in the chat. Welcome, everyone. So we'll get started. We had quite a few more people register, but they may trickle in. I want to be mindful of our time. So thank you again for being here. My name is Carly. I am the program manager for Women Crush Music. If you've been following along, we are on a virtual tour, and we are wrapping up Nashville with this wonderful panel discussion today with some of our wonderful panelists. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, but just really quickly, we are wrapping up Nashville with this event, and then our virtual tour will go to LA, and we will have a panel discussion and a artist showcase in that location as well. So follow along if you're not already paying attention to what Women Crush is doing. We've been going all over. So without further ado, thank you very much for being here. Let's have our panelists introduce themselves. And then we're going to get into it. We're going to kick off what you might need to know about the publishing world, copyright, contracts, royalties, how to kind of handle all of that. If you are, have questions, please drop them in the chat. And yes, let's kick it off with Sarah. I see you first in the top corner there. Would you please introduce yourself, tell us what you do now, how you got there, and we'll kind of go down the line.
Sure. So I work at BMG currently on the publishing side in our copyright department. I interned with BMG 6 years ago in our mechanical licensing department. And I really didn't know much about publishing, but I just kind of fell in love with it. And I was lucky enough where a temp position opened up around the time I graduated from college. So I transitioned into the copyright department. And then from there, got a full-time position. And what I currently do is on what we call our song delivery team. So I oversee this team, and we basically maintain all of the songs in our database. So for our songwriters, they will send us the new songs that they've written, and we make sure that the songs are in our system, that they're going to receive the royalties that they're due, that the songs are registered in the various places that they get registered, and generally just kind of making sure that the admin side is taken care of.
Awesome. Super important. Rachel.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's nice to be here. I'm Rachel Knepp. I started off doing something completely different than music, but still kind of in the tech product space. I founded a company in Columbus, Ohio. I'm originally from Oklahoma, Sooner. Columbus, Ohio. I lived there though for about 8 years, and I had a digital marketing agency where we just really kind of helped small businesses, and then we grew to really outsource just different marketing, building websites, creating apps, e-commerce, kind of all of that around the business space. And I knew I kind of always still wanted to be in tech. So when I moved to Nashville, I found Jammber, which is a music tech company that really focuses on capturing ownership, capturing all those splits that Sarah needs in order to register those songs, and then getting creators paid. So really kind of what we focus on is really building beautiful, easy to use tools that from the creator level to the company level to enterprise products that all revolve around capturing ownership and paying out split payments among creative teams. So I head up our growth team and partnerships. So we have been really working on pushing our split payment platform on the B2B side, working out partnerships with a lot of distributors, white labeling it, and then all of our awesome tools for creators, such as our Splits app, our Chrome plugin, which I'll show you later, and got a few of our Jamberites on here that are on the growth team as well. So these ladies that you see here, Kelly, Amanda, and Trip, they're really behind everything that we do, and they're awesome to work with. So happy to be here.
Awesome, thank you. And yes, as a few more people trickle in, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Happy to have you. And Monica.
Hi, everyone. So I studied music business at Middle Tennessee State University And, you know, I kind of started out in publishing. I had an internship in publishing with an independent publisher in Nashville. And I kind of jumped right into it right after college. So my background mostly is in publishing. I've been doing it for about 8 years now. I worked with a small independent publisher called Blue Water Music starting out, and I headed their copyright department for a while. I got into live events for a little bit and then jumped back over to publishing. And now I am at BMG. And what I mainly focus on is deal processing. So whenever we sign a new deal, it comes to my team. And then we handle all of the setup in our system for that deal. So, you know, we make sure that it's set up correctly so that we're paying our clients correctly. We make sure that these Schedule A songs are in the system and registered correctly. And then we also notify our rights worldwide so that all of the societies know that we are now administering on behalf of our clients. So it's a lot of tedious stuff, and I find it really fun. So that's where my main background is.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, that's all very important. So I'd love to just start off kind of with the basics, which is if you are an artist, or a manager or someone collaborating, and you need to make sure music is registered so that you are properly compensated and receiving royalties, where would someone start? And how would that come back and make sure that you, if it comes onto your desk, how are you making sure that that is all correct? Anyone jump in?
I can take that one. So what we need to register songs at the societies are a few things. We need to have all the legal names for all the writers on the songs. Sometimes when you get a writer's PKA, their performance name, that can make things a little bit murky in the registration. So legal names are really important. And then for the writer that we're representing, we need to have their society affiliation, whether that's one of the US societies or an ex-US society, but they have to be affiliated at one of the PROs. And even if you're not with a publisher, I would say that's probably one of the most important things to do, because that's how you're going to get your writer performance royalties from ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, GMR, the US societies. We'll also need full splits that are going to add up to 100. In Nashville, that tends to be pretty straightforward, but for our New York and LA writers, sometimes that can be a little bit of a process to get everyone to agree on splits. But having all of that information up front and ready to go makes the whole process a lot more efficient. So we'll put that into our database, and then that gets sent to the societies. To do it yourself, you could register the songs directly in your ASCAP or BMI or CSAC portal. I think that kind of covers it, unless there's other questions on that.
I'm going to emphasize the affiliation thing, because that is so important for what we do. You really can't collect unless you're affiliated. So if you're not affiliated with one of the PROs, get affiliated. Make sure that your songs are registered, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to collect on those. And if you're performing your songs live, register the set lists. Yep. Because that is a very, very important thing if you want to collect on those live performances. So, in addition to that, when you affiliate, you're assigned an IPI number. Mm-hmm. And those are very important in identifying the rights holders. It's a unique number that's assigned to you, and it's a much more efficient way to identify those rights holders. So yeah, like I said, affiliation is key.
Absolutely. And we get the question a lot, like, oh, who do I join? ASCAP, BMI, what's the difference? CSAC, how can I get into CSAC? If you're out of the gate, it's just do a little bit of research, but at the end of the day, they're kind of all the same. I mean, I'm just going to be real with you. It's like, just get affiliated and know your IPI too, because it's not your account number. And if you're not sure where it's at, I forget exact, I think it's at the top right, but it will say IPI. And it's kind of like your social security number for your artistry in a sense. And then the legal names are really important. We all go by, our artist name or alias, but that is super, super important. And just track everybody, every writing session, write down who it is, try to get that information on the spot in real time. Because and we have a splits app for that, it's free, not trying to sell you on it, but that's why we created it, right? So you can easily capture that information. You can just easily invite somebody, they get a text message, and then they could put in their society information, their IPI, their publishing information. And once your collaborators put that in there, you automatically have all that stuff. So when you register or send your stuff to BMG, then bam, Sarah and Monica has it as well. So just real time capturing in the moment of who you're with, whether or not you lock in splits, try to do that as early on as possible, but that's where the stickiness comes into play. And you can't get the song registered. And it's like, oh, we haven't agreed on splits. And then now we're going to go back and forth and it's retroactive and it just holds up everything. And it's like, just make a good song and don't worry about the decimal points at the end of the day.
Awesome. Yeah. That was going off of that. What have you all found that holds up the process for you? And so I see that definitely dividing in the splits is something, maybe not capturing someone's contact information if they're in a session with you. Is there anything else that you've seen that hinders folks from kind of getting this process started?
I would say everything that we just talked about.
Got it.
So,
Yeah.
so if a writer, if a writer is not affiliated, that'll hold up the process. If we don't have full correct splits, that usually holds up our process. So yeah, that's all very, very important, I would say.
Yeah, we really, you can't really go anywhere with your song from an administration perspective if you don't have that info.
Mm-hmm. Great. Awesome. So we talked a little bit about capturing the data that is needed. So besides that, how are we, excuse me, sorry. Yes, sorry. Just talking a little bit about the different kinds of royalties. So can we elaborate a little bit more on different types? We can start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll just kind of start with high level. There's two types of royalties. So there is the composition, which is paid out to publishers and songwriters. And then there's also the sound recording or the master, as we call it, that's typically paid out to labels and artists. So keep that in mind when you're tracking splits, is that there's really those two types. And then everything that falls into underneath that, like mechanicals, on the composition or the publishing side. I'm sure Sarah and Monica can speak more to that. But just keep that in mind when you are creating these songs and you're registering them. Also, if you're an artist or your vocals have been on a final cut, make sure you're registered with Sound Exchange too. A lot of artists don't really know that, but there is a lot of money at Sound Exchange that once they know that, then they can get paid. So just make sure that you are registered, at all of these different collection societies, and you just kind of understand high level about how the money flows. And, we do a lot of, these kind of conversations on that, and a lot of materials that I can even send afterwards. But I would say just keep that in mind. There's two types, and kind of how we explain it is the song "I Will Always Love You." Actually, Dolly Parton wrote that. And then we know that version, there can be many versions of that particular song that can be re-recorded. We know kind of like the Whitney Houston version of that. So every time Whitney Houston's version gets played, Dolly and her publisher get paid on the composition. And then Whitney, and I believe Arista Records is the label that gets paid out on that, on the actual sound recording once that song is played.
Yeah, and that type of royalty would be a mechanical you would need a mechanical license, and then you'll receive mechanical royalties. Basically, a label is going to have to contact the publisher or the songwriter anytime they want to release a recording of a song, so that they can have those mechanical rights. Then you'll also have your performance for the, on the songwriter side, your performance royalties, and those you'll receive directly from one of the PROs, ASCAP, BMI, CSEC, or GMR. And then for sync, anytime that a song that you write is used on some sort of audiovisual, whether it's, a movie or a TV show or a commercial or a video game, you would need to make sure that there's a sync license in place for that.
Yeah, and for mechanical royalties, those are different from performance, because if you're affiliated with a PRO, you're collecting your performance royalties. Mechanical royalties are collected completely differently. For US, it's Harry Fox. So Harry Fox is the collection organization for mechanical royalties. And we were actually, we do this in our position all the time, but we do it on a completely different level as far as administration goes, because we're working with Harry Fox every day. So we're not, and we work with them on an administrator level. As far as if you're doing this on your own and you're an independent writer, you own your publishing, you don't have an administrator, you can go to Harry Fox and register your songs with them. If you want to become an affiliate, I know there are certain stipulations to that if you want to become an affiliate of Harry Fox, but you have to register your songs with Harry Fox, and only publishers are represented by Harry Fox. So they do not have direct relationships with writers. So if you want to collect those mechanical royalties, you would have to have a publisher. So, affiliate your own publishing company and stuff like that. So I think that's important to note, because if you don't have a publisher, you're not going to be able to collect those mechanical royalties.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys work with MRI too for the mechanicals, right? Because they collect, is it an Amazon that they collect for MRI? What I always get them mixed up, but I think HFA and MRI are kind of like they each represent certain DSPs for the mechanical payouts.
It sounds familiar. I don't know for sure. I'm sure someone from our mechanical department would have a lot more input on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the sound recording side, like we were talking about sound exchange. So internet, satellite radio, Pandora, if you are an artist, make sure, again, sound exchange, you'll get paid there. Downloads, kind of interactive streaming, that typically goes to the label. So whoever your label is, or if you're independent, right, that money's going to flow back through the label.
Awesome. Thank you. I would love to know more too, your thoughts on seeing people that are represented by a label versus completely independent. Is there a difference in a gap in knowledge? Is there a benefit to one or the other? Anything that you've seen over the course of your years with clients coming and going?
Yeah, I'll kind of take that one, the first part of it. We have seen, our tools are really kind of built for DIYers or independents. We've seen this huge growth. I think it was like 32 to 35% in 2008 of independent creators, really just wanting to own their masters, wanting to own their rights. But with that comes the educational aspect of it. You have to understand how the money flows. You have to make sure your songs are properly registered. You have to make sure that you and your legal entity, everything is on point and your metadata is intact, meaning just, all of your co-writes, like we were talking about, you get all of that information up front. And make sure that, I think the songs being properly registered, and Sarah and Monica can speak more to that, is really huge, and it's key, because if it's legally by law, those 2 copyrights that we just talked about, if it's not properly registered, you're not going to get paid for it. So really just kind of doing your research, coming to webinars like these, asking the right questions, really understanding if you're independent, everything that goes into the admin side of it, or, surrounding yourself with a good team that understands it too is really key. That part of it is, just networking and connecting with people that understand different aspects of the business that you might not, because this is the, financial, the money making side of it is the admin side. But then there's also, streaming, promotion, kind of everything you have to do to market yourself to get it out there. So it really is, it's a bunch of full-time jobs if you're independent, but if you surround yourself with a really great team, then we see a lot of success on that side.
I will say one benefit I see working with a publisher and administrator is if you have any income in foreign territories that you want to collect, you have to have a sub-publisher in order to collect that income. As far as performance royalties go, performance rights organizations in other territories will pay your PRO in the US, the one that you're affiliated with, and you can receive those foreign performance royalties, performance songwriter royalties that way. But anything else, if you're trying to collect foreign mechanicals, foreign print, sync, anything like that, you need to have a sub-publisher for that. So that, that's something to keep in mind, especially if you have a lot of activity in other territories.
That's a really great point. And a lot of people don't know that. They think, oh, I have, ASCAP or BMI and I'm good. Absolutely not. There are publishing administrators or pub admins. BMG is one. There's a ton of them out there. A lot of people use Song Trust as independent, right? You just make sure you're signed up, because you will not get all of your money globally if you don't have a pub admin on that side. And then on the also airplay, right? If you get airplay for artists and performers, you'll need a neighboring rights organization that you're signed up with. Because that money, if you're getting airplay globally as an artist, you'll definitely need a neighboring rights society as well. And these are kind of the nuances that you're not really sure of. So one of the things that we do build into our tools is territories that you're performing in. So then you can see, oh, wow, I had no idea that I was so popular in Ireland or wherever. And then you can then backtrack from there and say, oh, okay, I can sign up with this neighboring rights organization or whatever it may be in order to collect those funds as well and those royalties.
And I think the network thing is super important, because if you are just starting out, or if you're not starting out just, right now and you've been in it for a while, but you're independent, I don't think anyone would expect you to know all of these things, because there is, like Rachel said, it's like many full-time jobs, and it's a lot for one person or even a few people to know the ins and outs. So if you have friends at companies or friends of friends at companies, definitely make those connections. And they, my personal philosophy is there's no stupid question. Like, if you don't know the answer, then how can you pretend to know the answer, right? So ask the questions that you want to know the answers to, because, it's just going to empower you.
For sure.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, how are we doing on time? We are doing good. If there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We can answer those in a little bit. So I'd love to know, if an artist is in a position to work with an admin and they are registered, they're doing all the things right. What is that relationship like for you, someone working to make sure everything is accurate, everything is going out? Are you directly working with the artist, and a little bit of how that works?
Yeah, in my position, I do sometimes have direct contact with our clients. It really depends on how hands-on either their creative is or anything like that, because really the relationship starts with that creative who is nurturing that relationship with the client, the songwriter. They form that relationship, they're bringing them in, they sign the deal, our legal department will handle all of the legality of it all. And then it comes to us. And so they are having kind of that direct contact with the client. There are times where we do as well. You know, it really just depends. But you know, we could either there are some clients that I'm talking to quite often because, you know, they know me and, you know, they know that I'm the one who's working on their deal at the time. But then there's other ones who I don't ever contact directly. You know, it all goes through our creative department. So it really kind of depends on that aspect.
And I think it would depend, you know, if you were to sign a publishing deal, what type of deal you signed. There's a variety of them, but I think generally if a publisher has some sort of ownership share, meaning they're going to make a little bit more money off of the money that you're making, then they're also probably going to invest more of their creative resources, pitching for syncs, pitching just for, if you're just a writer and you want to have your songs pitched to artists, doing that. Whereas if they don't have as much skin in the game, so to speak, they might not, you might receive less creative services. But that's not, you know, the hard and fast truth. It really does depend on your relationship with the creative that signs you at your publisher.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're working directly with artists, but in, you know, a different capacity, right? You know, we're not signing everybody. We're pretty neutral over at Jammber, you know, just trying to, you know, work with artists to give them the best tools possible. But we do see this distinct kind of line, whether it's in a publishing company or a label, between A&R, the admin side of it, and then the creative side of it. So it's kind of like left brain, right brain is kind of how I think about it. And it's kind of perfect for, you know, artists because, you know, the creative can vibe with them and have ideas with them and talk about, you know, where they want their music. Do they want to get a sync placement? Do they want to, you know, pitch it to this certain type of artist and really have that creative aspect? But none of that works unless you have the admin side of it, like these ladies here, to support that. You don't make money. So it's kind of like the perfect yin and yang, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Such a good way to put it, because I also think of it as kind of like a left brain, right brain. Whereas like, I'm certainly not a creative person, which is why I really enjoy kind of the logical, analytical aspects of what I do. But they go hand in hand and you can't really have one without the other.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yes, the data is important. Great. Sarah, I'd love to just go back a little bit of what you said about the different deals that someone can get. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? We don't have to dive too deep, but just kind of the different types overall that someone might expect.
Yeah, there's a few different types. I think probably the most common are going to be an administration deal or a co-publishing deal. So in an administration deal, your publisher is strictly administering your rights. They don't have any kind of ownership in it, but they are ensuring that your songs and your rights are protected in depending on, you know, the territory of the deal that you sign, whether it's for the world or for certain countries. With a co-publishing deal, the publisher is going to have an ownership share, and it, you know, it can really vary on who gets what type of deal. But with that, your publisher is going to receive a portion of and retain a portion of the income that you generate for them. Monica, since you're doing working with deals a lot, feel free to add in anything I might have missed.
Oh, that's good.
Nailed it. Perfect. Great. Yeah, that's great information just to keep an eye. There was a question about independent artists and collection of royalties from use of music in places like Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, which we're seeing so much of. So does that, how does that affect any of this? As long as things are registered, is that covered? if you guys can just kind of speak a little bit about those platforms.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have too much information myself there. I know it does come down to licenses with those various platforms, but I don't think I can speak to it directly.
Yeah, they're so new. I mean, it's an ongoing problem. Like TikTok, like you've seen a lot in the news over, artists not getting paid for their music that are on there and them trying to figure out what that looks like. A lot of these companies will do a blanket license. That's what, big bars and restaurants do too with PROs, right? So that means that they can then just play the music and pay out a lump sum, whatever they agree to with the PRO. And then the PRO will typically disperse based on, the artist percentage. So a Taylor Swift is going to get a lot more at that PRO than you get, even if your music is being played more. So sometimes they'll do these blanket license deals, but to be honest, it's so new that it's not going to be where you're going to make your money at until they figure out how to monetize it and monetize it accurately for the actual matching up the plays with the artists and the songwriters that are behind them. So I don't really see that being personally figured out for a while. But yeah, just keep up on the news on it. But I don't know too much about it, but I do know it's a mess.
Yeah, I think Twitch kind of got in trouble recently about just people doing live performances and there being issues. So I think it's just something that's going to keep evolving. But yeah, great question. So we will see. We'll stay tuned. Awesome. All right. I want to make sure we have time to kind of go through the Jammber tools, and we will see what other questions come through. But thank you all for some insights there. Rachel, if you want to go ahead and share screen whenever you're ready, I'd love to go through the Splits app, and I think you're going to talk a little bit about the plugin as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
1 second. Let me get this pulled up
no
here.
Problem.
Wherever I hit it, here it is.
And so some of the tools that you were talking about, especially just capturing all of the Splits information, contact information, will kind of be shown through this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll show you our Splits app. So this is where, when you're in a writing session, you can just pull out this app, download it for free. And this is where you can capture all of your splits. So I'll kind of take you through beginning a new song. So here, just going to click that green little button at the bottom and song title, right? If you don't know it, you can always change it later or just put in something as a placeholder if it's your first writing session. Split type that we just talked about. Were you a writer on the song or was it the sound recording, right? So you can track the splits on both through the app. Date of creation, which is also really important for publishing. They're going to need that date of creation and where you want to where you created the song, if you'd like to credit a studio or anything like that. And this is kind of our magic sauce, or at least was before COVID when people were in the same room together. If you see that little blue guy right there, that is our technology that picks up other collaborators that have the Splits app in the room. It's kind of like AirDrop, if you will. So anybody else that has Splits app, you can just click them and it's going to pick them up. If not, all you have to do is put their name. If you've already worked with them, it will save them as a contact in your contact list, or just put in their phone number or email address. They'll get a email invite or a text message invite right there on the spot. So the app is pretty flexible. You can just enter in the percentages, or top left-hand corner right there, we little nod to Nashville, split equally, right? That's key to just making it as easy as possible. You'll see at the bottom here, once she's done entering it in, proposes draft or proposes final. So it doesn't have to equal 100% if you propose it as draft. If you know that you're going to finish the song, maybe you're going to bring somebody else in to help you finish the song, you're going to add them later, or it's just your first writing session, but say this is our last one and we all agreed to the splits, proposes final, you sign off just like you would a split sheet, right? Instead of having a piece of paper in the room or not having a piece of paper in the room, you can just sign off on the app, and it will keep a history of all of your songs, all of your writing sessions, and all of your collaborators. So here is just kind of a overview of everything. That notification right there at the top left with the little red with the one, that means a collaborator has already responded. So once that invite went out, they either got a text message, email, or if they already have the app, they'll get a push notification saying you've been invited to the song. So somebody's already responded just here, and we'll take a look at their response. Maybe. There we go. And as you can see, these are all of the songs that this person has been a part of. So there's a chat aspect as well, kind of just like your iPhone. This was a really big feature request in the app because everybody was texting like, hey, did you get my split proposal? And they were like, why don't we just like have a chat in there so we can just keep all the conversations. We can get notified once somebody has responded or wants to, chat about something like, hey, can you upload the demo? There's also a file section so they can upload just demo files or completely mastered versions as well. So this is the part that Sarah and Monica will really appreciate. So here are all the society information. So as you can see here, they have their society, their IPI. Remember again, that's your social security number, quote unquote, for your PRO that identifies you as an artist. If you have a publisher, you can put in your publisher information and their share. So that co-publishing deal that Sarah was talking about, there's going to be a share that you have and a share that your actual publisher has as well. And then you can put in their ownership ratio, your HFA account, if you have one, and kind of all of their information, their legal name. You can also put in their alias if it applies, and then just kind of that contact information, phone number, email address, kind of all of that. So once I put all this information into my account and I add you to a song, you have all of this information from me, all of my society and publisher information, which is really valuable to register your songs correctly. So that's kind of it. What you don't see in here is our money aspect of it. So we're going to be launching a new version of the app. We're launching a intermediary version, just kind of fixing some bugs. It's not perfect, but this is what it looks like today. And then we're actually going to be putting split pay into the app. So what you'll be able to do, just like Venmo or PayPal, you can facilitate all of your split payments through this app. That'll probably be Q1, Q2 of next year or sooner than that. We'll see how it happens, but our dev team is working really hard on that just to get everything in one place for you. And then I'll show you our Chrome plugin, which is an extension of the app. They both sync together, and it's pretty freaking cool. I'm not gonna lie. I always get impressed on what they can do. It's like magic. All right. So this is the dashboard for our Chrome plugin. As you can see here, kind of everything's in one place. And what we have done is we have built this Chrome plugin, just like Honey or anything else. It's an extension of Chrome. And what it allows you to do is upload any royalty statement from a collection society, your PRO, your pub admin, whatever it may be. So here you can see the different distributors, the PROs that we're going to select here. And then what we're going to do is actually import recent statements. So just going through, logging in one time to set everything up. So we'll get here in TuneCore. And what the platform will do is once you've set it up for the first time with all of your collection societies, it will identify when a new report is available, and it will upload it. So it's kind of taking all of your statements, both from your publishing side, whether that's BMG or Songtrust as you see here, or whoever your publisher is, your distributor, whoever you're using to distribute CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, whoever it may be. And it's bringing all of this data and all of these statements into one interactive dashboard. So instead of having to download the reports and upload them and make sure it's the right report, that it's the sales report and not the other 2 or 3 reports that they give you, the platform will actually just look at your account. Let's say here on DistroKid, it will show you all of the new ones that are ready, and then you can just import them all, and it brings it back into your dashboard here. So everything in one place. As you can see here, you can track all of the, I'm going to go back here just a little bit since this is a video. You can see all of your earnings and expenses for the month, kind of all of your revenue from all of these different platforms in one place. You can see all of your streaming as well from Spotify, YouTube, wherever it may be. And we're just taking the information that are on the reports and we're aggregating them into this interactive dashboard where you can drill down into projects. So say you're working on a new song or a new EP and you want to kind of track those expenses and see everything that's on it, everything right there in one place. Payouts. So here your collaborators or anybody else you're paying out to, you can see all of that. Audiences, this part is coming a little bit later. But territory information, this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can actually see your song performances per territory based on these reports. So instead of going through individual ones, trying to figure out, where you're making your money, where everything's at, it's just going to aggregate it all into one place. And then, of course, as you can see at the top here, go back here a little bit. See at the top here is where the integration with the app comes into place. So any splits you put in there, you can click here to review it. You can review your credits. You can send and receive money on those split payments. So say you're the artist and you have to pay out your collaborators and you probably haven't because it's only $50 or something like that. This will automate all of that for you. So just kind of everything in one place. Cool. That's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Awesome. I didn't see any pop in the chat, but where can everyone find the app? It's just in the regular app store, is that correct?
Yeah, if you just go to jammber.com too, I'll just put it in the chat. There will be a splits or download app. And then also, I believe if you search, you have to put Jammber splits, not just splits, because if you put splits in the app store, it will bring up like gymnastics, like actual splits. So make sure you put Jammber in front of it, 2 M's and a B. And that's where you can download it for free. And if you want to kind of keep up to date with us, we're actually going to be doing a beta program for the Chrome plugin. So you can just go to our website, fill out our contact form, and saying you want to be a part of it. And we'd love to put you into our beta program as we launch it.
Awesome. Thank you. Very cool. So yeah, we've covered a lot. And so I want to make sure we send people to the right places. But cool. So to just kind of wrap up, we're obviously in a very different world now than we were 7 months ago, but I would love to just get your guys' thoughts, and this is just sort of your own opinion, but where do you see kind of publishing going? Do we see more apps? Do we see more plugins like this? Do we see the world getting a little bit more competitive for DIYers? Do we see more people coming to admins? Like what kinds of trends do you think we'll see, say, in the next year to 5 years? Throw that out there.
I think that writers and artists that are independent have become a lot more savvy. They're really hungry to learn those things on their own rather than just signing into a deal. And so that then makes us as publishers, I'm not going to say that publishers are like trying to screw anyone over, because that's totally not the case. But knowing that your writer or your artist knows what's up, they know what they're talking about, makes the conversation so much better. And I think that will empower those artists and writers to get a better deal, or, it's just, you know what you're going to get yourself into. And I think that is super, super important.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Like the deals have to be sweeter now once everybody knows what's up, right? Like, especially if you know how to do this yourself. The trend that we've been seeing ever since we launched the split pay platform at the beginning of the year, we really had to, as a company, because we had all these things going on and all these tools that we wanted to build, we really had to focus in on what's going to be most valuable for the artists. How can we maximize their royalties and help everybody get paid? And that's really when we launched split pay. But we've been building the tech for years, but it's really kind of where we honed in. And as we've been talking to distributors to white label our product, they have been blowing up like huge, because releases, there's going to be more music coming out now more than ever, and you're already seeing that. And I think that trend is just going to continue to go up. And I think that the independents that get the exposure are the savvy ones that Sarah was just speaking to, that really surround themselves with the right people. They know how to market their music well. And so I think that just releases are going to continue to go up. I think that there's going to be, we're already seeing this, because, you can't do live concerts. Like, what does fan engagement look like? Like Justin Bieber can't sell a 10K ticket to have a super fan, a meet and greet super fan after that. What does that look like? Is that going to be like a Zoom call like this with a merch edition? And one of the fans want to give their artist something. How does that work? You don't want to shake their hand. So I think that there's going to be a lot of creativity virtually until we get the vaccine, and until people feel comfortable. And I think even after the vaccine, I don't think people are going to really be that comfortable for a while to have these big concerts. And I think there's going to be a lot more amphitheaters over the next years, the bookings of those, which we're already seeing. But I think just the online game is going to up a lot in all those ways.
Yeah, and I expect that there will be ways that people start monetizing, those Instagram, Twitch, whatever, all those platforms that are new right now and nobody really knows what to do with. People are working really hard to see how, we can collect on those and, give the songwriters and publishers what they deserve, because, a lot of heart goes into that songwriting, and they should get paid, on their art. So hopefully we find better ways to monetize that sort of thing, because like Rachel and Sarah said, it's going into digital. We've already seen it over the years. So much streaming is happening. It's big now, and I'm hoping with all of the legislation that's happening and making those rates better for songwriters, we'll see more of that. And hopefully it'll just become a better market for songwriting.
Yeah, absolutely. The songwriters, those statutory rates that have been in place for so long is just BS, and it's thankful that the MLC is here to help, increase those rates and help increase songwriters to get paid on streaming platforms. But it's also a work in progress at the same time. But I'm hopeful for the future that songwriters can get properly paid. And if you're a songwriter / artist, you're going to make more of your money on the artist side, on the sound recording side. So just make sure you have everything in place there. So yeah, that's
well, thank you.
Yeah.
So good note. I think we'll start to wrap here, but if there are any final thoughts, anything, I know you linked to this, where to find the Splits app in the chat. Any other places where folks can start if they're really just digging in, or anything that you would recommend kind of to get your feet wet, so to speak?
The PRO websites.
Yep.
Go on the PRO websites. There's so many great resources on there. They're there to help songwriters. So I would suggest going on there. I just looked at them today. I never really go on that side of it. And they do have a lot of really cool things on there. So yeah, check out your PRO.
There's also an organization in Nashville called NSAI, and they work with new and independent songwriters. They're a really great organization, just kind of getting them, getting you connected, kind of giving you almost a publishing 101, just getting you hooked up with what you should know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I sent this like long list to you, Carly. So I'll just
Oh,
kind of
yes.
rattle it off. And our team here, Trip and Amanda and Kelly helped with this, but we were just trying to think about like what are local Nashville resources that we could kind of just throw y'all's way. And Music Biz too, musicbiz.org. It's we've been a part of it and we're on their board. Our CEO is. And we did a lot of sponsorships with them when things were in person, but since COVID they have a lot of really great online content you can really view in for free most of the time, to a lot of expert panels and just kind of things you should know and that kind of stuff. They also have a scholarship foundation if you're a student as well. And let's see what else here, creativesday.org. It really helps both youth and adults get studio time, funding, connecting with other creatives. They're really great. Rachel Tripp here, she does a lot of speaking engagements with them. Yep, YEP, yepnashville.com is a great local organization. A lot of good online content right now, especially posting, looking for artists, to feature on projects, playlist placement, that kind of stuff. So kind of a lot of like contracting stuff or artistry stuff. Music Biz Besties is a good one too. And then Home, and Carly can send all this to you guys. I know I'm rattling it off quick, but
Oh, that's okay. I'm dropping them in the chat because I
oh, okay, cool.
That way, whoever's looking at this will also see them in the chat.
Sweet, yeah. Home, they're really a brick and mortar, like community based, helping our music evolve. It is membership based. They've mostly gone virtual during COVID, but they do provide a good kind of community for everybody, and they do have a small studio. And once people can kind of get back in person, it's really great networking there. And then also we're actually partnering with Mickey Shiloh. She's awesome. She's an innovator, entrepreneur. She's also an artist and multi-platinum selling songwriter. Worked with Lady Gaga, like all those kind of names. Really great songwriter. Started off as like the age of 17. She's crazy, brilliant. But she created, because of everything that we're talking about right now, she created this artist-friendly label with all of these services, and it's called Hard Drive, HRDRV.com. And you can kind of go on there, and she, for very affordable prices, you can get cover art. You can have, a session with a hit songwriter. You can get feedback on your songs, and you get like candid feedback. So it's really cool, like what she's doing on that side of it. And she is going to be really spearheading the Chrome plugin and kind of everything you saw there. So she's awesome. I would definitely check her out too.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I just dropped all those. I think I got them all in the chat, and that way this is captured with this whole meeting for anyone in the future. So great. Yeah, thank you so much. I think we'll leave it there. We covered a lot. If people have questions, would you all just drop somewhere where people can find you, whether it's on social media or if email is best, but just in case people have additional questions, where they can go and find you. But thank you all for being here. A wide variety of knowledge, so much appreciated. We know it's a big, big world to tackle. So thank you again to everyone who is tuning in. And thank you to our panelists for your time and energy with us. And we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Great.
Again.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for your time. And it was so nice to meet you, ladies.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.